Hi, welcome to Daily Strength. And by the way, we're praying that what we do in the next couple of minutes will indeed be strength for your day. Our text today is from Genesis 12:3, when God appeared to Abraham and said, "I will bless those who bless you, and all the peoples on the earth will be blessed through you." You know, there are some moments in Scripture that I would have choreographed a little differently if it had been up to me. Now, actually, before you start writing in to tell me I'm a heretic, please know, I really do believe wholeheartedly in the final authority of Scripture and the sovereignty of God. I know that God knows what he's doing. So I don't want to risk a lightning bolt, and I'm not slacking off in my theology. But if you or I had been consulted about some of these moments in Scripture, we might have orchestrated them with a little more fanfare. For instance, the moment when Adam woke up to find Eve before him. Wow, that had to be a fireworks, roses, and violins kind of moment. Or what about the birth of Christ? Though God had a purpose in it, we probably would have chosen something a little more dramatic than a dingy stable and a few shepherds. I have the same kinds of thoughts when I read our text today, Genesis 12:1-3. This conversation between Abraham and God is occurring in the middle of nowhere. You think of Abraham as a great patriarch? But in this moment, he's an uninitiated nomad, and no doubt a guy with an idolatrous background. And yet, here in this conversation between God and a rather unlikely person, God makes an earth-shattering promise. God shows up and tells Abraham that he would become a great nation. And then God promises him, and this is the moment we would cue the drum roll and 1,000 trumpet fanfare. God promises that through him, all the peoples on earth will be blessed. You may not know it, but this is one of the first prophecies of the coming of Jesus through the seed of Abraham. And take it personally. You and I, who are followers of Jesus today, are recipients of the phenomenal benefits of this promise. Both genealogies of Jesus in the Gospels trace his lineage all the way back to Abraham and to this promise. Through the entire Old Testament, even when it seemed that the promise had been jeopardized by the unfaithfulness of Israel, God was faithfully preparing to keep his promise to Abraham. And then the moment arrived when the promise was fulfilled, and on the hill of Calvary, it was a descendant of Abraham hanging on a cross, giving his life for us, so that as the promise predicted, you and I could be blessed in massive proportion. And it all started with the promise made to a wandering nomad over 4,000 years ago. No cheering crowds or angelic choirs, just God, his promise, and an unlikely recipient. So here's the good news. God still shows up to speak to rather unassuming people like you and me. And every time we read his promises to us, it is a profound moment. Behind every promise and plan that he lays out for us in his word, there are ramifications of strategic proportions. You may not hear a lot of fanfare, but I need to tell you that the God who was faithful to Abraham will be faithful to his promises to you. So, strike up the band, drum roll please. God still speaks and delivers on his promises. Are you listening to his promises? And do you believe in his promises?